Many things have changed, which has lessened the security of our elections in the last few years.
Since Trump won the state in 2016, Michigan has completely overhauled its election system. In 2018, Michigan voters replaced Johnson, who was term limited, with Jocelyn Benson, a Harvard-educated law professor and former SPLC lawyer. She once received funding from George Soros' controversial Secretary of State project, which targeted low-profile Secretary of State races. Under her leadership and empowered by the pandemic, things changed in Michigan.
She sent unsolicited absentee voter ballot applications to over 800,000 people that weren't qualified to vote. And then she told the clerks, don't verify the signatures. She tried to allow ballots to be counted if they were received after Election Day. So I had to go in and sue her, and we won.
In an email, Benson's office tacitly acknowledged that Michigan's voter rolls are stacked with ineligible voters, saying they've, quote, identified more than 500,000 additional records slated for cancellations in 2025 and 2027, notably after this year's presidential election, adding, many of which were left languishing on the voter rolls under the previous secretary's administration. They added that the reason more than 350,000 registrations are slated for cancellation in 2025 is because of a statewide mailing the Secretary of State sent out in 2020, something the previous secretary failed to do in her entire 8 years in office. But even with inflated rolls, what's really transformed the state's elections were 2 statewide ballot referendums that amended the state's constitution, like Proposition 3 in 2018.
What it does is it allows for same-day registration. The problem is we don't have real-time computers, so we don't know if they're really a qualified voter. So you can register without showing photo ID. Photo ID is like the foundation of everything. You have to have photo ID to get a fishing license in the state or even to take a book out of the library.
In 2022, a consortium of left-wing groups pushed another referendum, Proposal 2, which essentially gutted the state's election integrity measures.
And that prohibits the people that run our elections to even ask for photo ID. So now we can't even ask for it.
The referendum received nearly $24 million in funding from a laundry list of left-wing groups, which paid for ads like this one.
Prop 2 puts our voting rights directly in the state constitution,
including voter ID requirements.
So only eligible citizens can vote.
Vote yes on Prop 2.
Voters had to take their word for it. The actual text of Proposal 2 was nearly 2,500 words long, too long to actually print on the ballot.
You can only put less than 100 words on the actual ballot.
After the ballot initiatives, Michigan residents now have a constitutional right to vote by mail. To make matters worse, in April, Michigan's Senate passed a bill that would bar local officials from investigating fraud, illegal activity, or even ballot tampering during a recount. The last remaining safeguard is a Michigan law that requires local clerks to verify signatures on absentee ballots. In 2021, Secretary Benson attempted to change the process by making clerks presume the signatures are accurate. Her proposal was defeated by the courts.
Unfortunately, right now, my Democratic colleagues are making it even easier to cheat.
The list of issues is long. Bloated voter rolls, widespread mail-in voting, ballot drop boxes in a heavily unionized state with a highly organized left. It's a recipe for disaster in what will surely be one of the closest swing states in this year's presidential election. If I lived in Michigan and I moved to the state of Texas, would I still be registered to vote in the state of Michigan?
You would be.
And I vote in Texas. Do you in Michigan have a way to see whether or not I've already voted in Texas?
Another huge flaw in our system. There's no way for the Secretary of State or anyone else to know that you voted in 2 states. There's nothing systemically to tell us whether somebody has voted in more than 1 state. Actually, because you don't have to show ID anymore, we don't even know if you voted twice in Michigan or 3 times or 4. The system is full of holes. So we had a bill, the Republicans, that would allow free ID to everybody. We wanted to expand it and then require photo ID at the polls. And our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, she vetoed that bill.
That just seems so sinister to me.
We used to be a Republican state. Right now we have Democrats that have the House, the Senate, the AG's office, Secretary of State.
Thank you for joining us at the Brother Ill Night Show. Continue to follow us by subscribing to WIC TV on YouTube and Rumble.com. And also visit us at www.brotherl.com. Peace and have a blessed and safe evening.